YouTube.
Live from the station that's in your corner, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
We belong here. We feel like this is our home.
A landmark ruling. Dreamers breathe a sigh of relief as DACA protections stay intact for now.
It's only an excuse if they can prove insanity.
New details in the case of a Cape Coral woman who stabbed her mother. Is an insanity plea coming? We talked to her attorney. And thanks for choosing us for Fox 4 News at 10. I'm Jane Monreal.
I'm Patrick Nolan coming to you live from one of the many, I should say, Lee County businesses working so hard to rebound right now. More on this story coming up in just a bit, but first we want to get to a breaking story that's happening in Tallahassee right now. That man suspected of killing two women. One of the women was associated with the Black Lives Matter movement. Another one was an ally of hers in that movement. He has been transferred into the Leon County Jail in Tallahassee from a jail cell in Orlando and Orange County, where he was picked up after he took a bus there. His name is Aaron Glee Jr. He's facing one count of kidnapping in addition to those two murder charges. This is according to the Leon County Sheriff's Office. Police say Aaron Glee fled from Tallahassee after murdering an older woman who was an AARP volunteer and a 19-year-old Black Lives Matter activist. Those two women actually met at one of the demonstrations happening in Tallahassee. Police descended on Mr. Glee's home on Monday Road on Saturday, discovered those two bodies, but he had been gone, but they found the older woman's cell phone on his property. There's no bond listed for him right now. He's got his first appearance scheduled for a judge tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, and he does have a history of homelessness and mental health issues and violence as well. Another big story tonight affecting a lot of young Southwest Floridians and hundreds of thousands of young people all over the nation tonight is that Supreme Court ruling that came down today. This has to do with DACA. It's referred to as Dreamers. These are young people who were brought here by their parents who didn't have their immigration papers as children, and they had some legal protections that were put in place by the Obama administration. The Trump administration has been trying to undo it all, but the Supreme Court slapped them down with a 5-4 ruling saying he didn't really give a legitimate reason, a legitimate legal reason for ending the program. And that's why 4 in Your Corner's Rochelle Aline says a lot of local Dreamers feel like this is only a temporary sigh of relief.
I mean, it definitely gives me hope.
A small slice of relief tonight coming at the hands of the Supreme Court.
There was going to be 700,000 people that were going to lose employment authorization, lose their ability to work legally in the United States, to be present in the United States lawfully.
SCOTUS voting to block a move by the Trump administration to end DACA, or the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, a program that helps immigrants brought to the U.S. as children stay here legally.
I was always living in fear of getting deported basically at any time.
It's a program the assistant cross-country coach at FGCU is grateful for, though he says the feeling of relief is also short-lived.
At any time you can, they can stop it.
And according to a local immigration lawyer, he's not entirely wrong. Today's SCOTUS decision doesn't actually protect DACA for good. It just says that the way in which the Trump administration was trying to end it was illegal.
And really, it outlines the procedure that the Department of Homeland Security, the Trump administration, has to go through to end the program. So they're letting the White House know you can do it, you just have to follow the regulations.
Armed with that knowledge, Hurtado says it's now a waiting game to see what the president will do next.
Is the Department of Homeland Security, the Trump administration, going to push forward and go through the proper procedure before the November election?
Questions like these are why Cruz is hoping Congress can put together a long-term solution for dreamers like him.
I feel like we deserve something that is permanent. So, so we can stop living in fear and just wonder what's going to happen the next day with us.
In Cape Coral, Rochelle Aline, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, so what's next to come for Dreamers here in Southwest Florida and around the nation? Coming up in our second half hour, we'll talk more about what this Supreme Court ruling really means. In the meantime, we want to check your weather with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley. I could use a stronger breeze out here in Mount Lachey tonight. A lot of mosquitoes around, Derek.
That's right, Patrick. I know you were dealing with some showers earlier, and even some parts of Southwest Florida looking at rain even at this hour. But it's been kind of a cloudy and gloomy morning and early afternoon across the area. We saw most of the storms, though, shifting inland as the afternoon progressed. But you can see in Arcadia, DeSoto County, rain north and south of town at the present time, particularly along Highway 31. This extends south and westward towards portions of Sarasota and Charlotte County, just to the south of Inglewood and around, it looks like Grove City and Manasota Key and down towards areas around Rotunda. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. It's quite muggy, as Patrick mentioned, and those mosquitoes are pretty rough out there, especially, of course, areas that are near water. And it looks like those temperatures here for tonight falling back into the mid 70s. We got more storms on the way tomorrow, but will they last through the Father's Day weekend? I'll have that answer for you coming up.
All right, thank you, Derek. Well, Tampa, Little Rock, and the state of California are now mandating face masks to be worn in any business or gathering. This as Florida reported over 3,200 additional coronavirus cases today. It's the largest single-day count in the state since the pandemic started. Total reported cases climbed to nearly 86,000, according to data from the state health department. In Southwest Florida, Lee County saw an increase of 167 cases and 1 death. Collier up by 66 cases and 1 death. Charlotte County has 2 additional cases and another death. And DeSoto County is up by 6, while Hendry County is up by 25, and Glades is up 2 cases. And tonight we're learning more about the rapid increase in COVID-19 cases across the state. We're also talking to human behaviorists, asking questions like, why aren't people simply following health and safety guidelines in order to protect not only themselves but others? Fox 4's Leslie Delaspore has the story tonight.
Coronavirus cases continue to soar, not only across the country, but across the state. As of this morning, Florida reached a new high of close to 86,000 cases with over 3,000 deaths. But Robert Hawks with Florida Gulf Coast University says there are a few other factors that could be related to the spike in cases.
I mean, some of that can certainly be attributed to the increased testing, so therefore we have increased rates of people testing positive for COVID-19. The other concern is that the only reason, and is it because people are now out in the community, we're now opening up other phases.
He stresses the importance of following all safety guidelines, but there are some who have chosen not to. And from a psychological standpoint, Elise Bartley with FGCU says people have simply had enough.
We're all tired of this. Just a couple short months ago, we were able to do what we wanted to do every day, and we've lost a lot of power. So this is the way that people can take their power back by going ahead and being in larger groups and not wearing their masks.
Bartley says the term social distancing could be a part of the problem.
Because it's encouraging isolation, we need to be physically distant from people, not socially distant. Changing the language from social distancing to physical distancing would maybe positively impact how people are being respectful of the CDC guidelines.
Bartley also says most people are fearful about what's next.
And when we become afraid, we find ways to take our power back. And one of the ways that people are doing that is not following the guidelines of being 6 feet apart or wearing masks in public.
That's right, and Bartley and Hawks both say right now more than ever is the best time to not let your guard down and to continue following all CDC guidelines. In Cape Coral, Leslie Delaspore, Fox 4. In your corner.
Thanks, Leslie. NCH Healthcare in Collier County wants you to know that it is safe to visit their hospitals even if you have a non-COVID related concern. In a public webinar today, they discussed how patients are protected in their hospitals. First, they've changed the pressure of the air where COVID-19 patients are kept so the germs stay inside the COVID unit. They're also using a germ zapping robot that kills the coronavirus. And if there is a second wave, they say they're more equipped than ever before. They've tripled the number of intensive care rooms and ventilators, and they say there's no need to stay away if you need any kind of medical attention.
We've not had one patient cross-contaminated or infected by a COVID patient. Don't put off emergent or acute care. You need it. It's safe.
They also mentioned mandatory antibody testing for employees, which ended up finding only 43 out of 4,500 have the antibodies. It's a sign, they say, shows their PPE and procedures are effective. Patrick?
Tonight we're learning more about that fight between a mother and daughter in Cape Coral that happened yesterday. It left the mother stabbed to death. The daughter is now charged with killing her own mom. The daughter's 21 years old. Her name is Mariah Kelly, and she appeared in court this morning. She made her first appearance before a judge in connection with the death of her own mom. Now, documents from the case are indicating that she stabbed her mom with a kitchen knife while the daughter was washing dishes. She also says that her mother hit her in the head right before that happened. Kelly's attorney is indicating that she wasn't in her right mind at the time of the killing.
She indicated she did not intend to hurt her mom, and when she was advised that her mom was deceased, she seemed to be in shock.
Well, police say they actually found Kelly, the suspect, pacing outside of the home after the stabbing, and they say she admitted to the crime right away. She had her two younger siblings inside the home at the time, and her own child was inside the home at the time of that killing. So she's currently facing a manslaughter charge in the case. We checked with the local criminal attorney, not associated with this case, but just to get a general perspective. He says the charge could be upgraded, but he also says that mental health defense that her defense attorney hinted at could be a role in this case.
They may use mental health as a mitigating factor. So then it's not a full defense, but it's something relevant that might come into play as determining what kind of punishment is appropriate, because it may not be that she's evil, but she's troubled, and that's not an excuse. It's only an excuse if they can prove insanity.
That suspect, Mariah Kelly, is due back in court on July 20th. So in 12 days, her bail has been set at $250,000. For weeks now, several people in the community in Lee County have been calling on Sonny Haas, a Republican candidate for Lee County Commission, to step down. But now his own party is adding their voice to that mix, saying he should at least get out of the Republican Party of Lee County. The chairman of the Lee County Republican Party issued a letter calling for Sonny Haas to leave the party and the race for that District 5 County Commission seat. The letter goes on to say that the party supports people of all races and claims that they were shocked to hear that Sonny Haas used the N-word in a recent email. The chairman of the party also says the board held a meeting to discuss Haas's actions.
Our board decided that it was very important to let the public know that the Republican Party in no way endorses those statements that he made.
Sonny Haas is one of 4 candidates who've qualified for that commission seat in Lee County. It's currently held by Frank Mann. The chairman of the party says that Haas has not responded to that letter yet, although as far as we've heard from Sonny Haas throughout this process, he says he's not going to drop out of the race. Today, the Lee County chapter of the NAACP met with some local law enforcement in the district attorney's office to talk about ways to keep the whole community safe when it comes to interactions between those in the community and the officers who are sworn to protect and serve. Law enforcement leaders answered some questions from the chapter regarding policies like knee holds and no-knock arrest warrants. The Lee County Sheriff's Office, Sanibel Police Department, both saying they do not allow the use of knee holds by their officers. And the state attorney, Amira Fox, says no-knock warrants are very difficult to obtain. The Lee County chapter of the NAACP says that it wants to give local law enforcement the benefit of the doubt and credit for ways that they actually serve and keep the community safe. But they also say these conversations are really about being proactive so we don't have to be reactive.
Everyone that has any contact with the citizens of this area, we want to touch base with them, ensure that the voices of the citizens are being heard. The NAACP is that voice.
Lee County chapter of the NAACP will meet again with police, but different departments next time. That'll be next week. Fort Myers Police Department and Cape Coral Police Department. Jane?
Patrick, just ahead, Joe is a go. The Democratic convention still 2 months away, but the presumptive candidate is rolling out the campaign. Details ahead. In Milwaukee, the countdown is on. Literally, there's a billboard that says 59 days until the Democratic National Convention. That's when Joe Biden will formally accept the Democratic presidential nomination, according to officials familiar with planning, who also say it'll probably happen August 20th, the last day of the convention. The event will be scaled back, and there will be a major digital component this year as well. Prepping for the convention is a little different, of course, with the coronavirus. But the chairman of the DNC says he's following the guidance of the public health officials, saying his team has the, quote, flexibility to do what's necessary. Biden is launching his first major television ad buy of the general election, pumping $15 million in TV, digital, radio, and print ads into 6 battleground states that President Donald Trump won back in 2016. Damning allegations from President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, offering a glimpse of what's inside his tell-all book and drawing fire from both parties.
You described the president as erratic, foolish, behaved irrationally, bizarrely. You can't leave him alone for a minute. He saw conspiracies behind rocks and was stunningly uninformed. He couldn't tell the difference between his personal interests and the country's interests.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job. There really isn't any guiding principle that I was able to discern other than what's good for Donald Trump's reelection.
Well, in the room where it happened, the title of the book, Bolton argues that lawmakers should have brought in impeachment inquiries into President Trump to examine numerous ways Trump sought to bend the law. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany calls the book inexcusable and unacceptable, and Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also unpleased with Bolton's memoir, calling it and Bolton a con.
I haven't seen the book. I'm not paying any money for a book. I don't want to pay any money for a book that was a substitute for testifying before Congress about the well-being of the American people.
The Justice Department's attempts to pull the book have so far been unsuccessful. It is set to hit bookstores Tuesday. Derek?
Thanks, Jane. We saw some showers and storms across the area, a little bit more coverage today than we saw the past couple of days. And it looks like those chances for rain are going to be just as high for tomorrow. So if you're looking for some outdoor activities to get involved in here for tomorrow, it looks like tomorrow will be very similar to what we saw today. The showers, though, that we had earlier are beginning to wind down, so the coverage and the intensity coming down some. Still some areas of showers in and around Arcadia, so still some light to moderate rain going on there. Areas of yellow and orange indicating the heavier downpours that are occurring at the present time. Same thing going down towards Sarasota County, so around Northport, along I-75, and then heading down towards Murdoch, northern portions of Charlotte County, just to the north of Port Charlotte. Some soakers going on there. This extends all the way southward towards Rotunda. But besides that, it looks like everybody else, though, that did see rain earlier today is beginning to dry out. So it's going to be a muggy and warm night across the area. Temperatures primarily in the mid-70s, some upper 70s showing up down towards Marco Island, Everglades City, and Tehachapi. It's 78 and 77 degrees, respectively. Tomorrow morning, we'll start off with mostly cloudy skies. Very similar start to tomorrow that we saw today. Showers and storms will start developing by late morning and then continue throughout the afternoon. It does look like the focus for storms, though, will start shifting inland with a southwesterly wind flow in the upper atmosphere steering the storms from the coast towards inland areas during the afternoon. We could see some back building towards the coast by tomorrow evening, much like what we saw this evening. And it really looks like through tomorrow we're going to have these high rain chances, but it actually looks like the chances for rain are going to go down some for Father's Day weekend. We're going to see lower coverage. We're still going to have storms around, but there won't be quite as many. That means a little bit more sunshine and hotter temperatures. Here's predictor. Tomorrow morning, mostly cloudy, couple of isolated showers. Chances for rain will gradually increase, though, as the morning and afternoon goes on. So just keep that in mind for your outdoor plans. It does look like, though, we'll see some sunshine, too, much like what we saw today. And then Saturday, sunny skies in the morning. Sea breeze gets activated. Storms developing during the afternoon, mainly along and east of Highway 29 here throughout the afternoon and evening. And the same thing for Father's Day. Looks like we'll see highs around 90 with partly cloudy skies and a chance for some PM storms there. Otherwise, looks like it's going to be a great weekend here for all the fathers here across Southwest Florida. Temperatures overnight into the 70s, highs tomorrow topping out near 90 degrees with those scattered showers and storms across the area. Forecast for tonight, we're going to go with 73 for an overnight low and mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, 86. Really, that depends on how much sunshine you see. Even if you get an hour of full sun, you'll quickly get up close to 90. Those showers and storms will be scattered about the area throughout the morning and afternoon. Ingman Marine forecast sees 2 feet or less, winds out of the south 5 to 10 knots. Inland waters will be smooth with showers and storms throughout the morning and afternoon. 7-day forecast, highs around 90 again all the way through the weekend, lows in the mid-70s. Chances for storms start to come down some, so not as much coverage, more sunshine for the weekend, and more the same kind of pattern heading into next week.
Thank you, Derek. The governor's ready to hack away at the state budget to make up for COVID-19 losses. We'll explore his options. And is your nearest bridge safe to drive on? We found several less than stellar inspection reports. Tomorrow's.
Governor DeSantis is promising a lot of vetoes in next year's state budget because the state is losing so much money because of the pandemic. And a group known as Florida Tax Watch, which is basically a watchdog group, says it's got some suggestions on how the governor and the state can save some money. They are recommending delaying teacher and state worker pay raises until next year. They also suggest some major cuts to the temporary state employee fund, more use of bonding, and then putting 5% of Florida's general revenue in reserves. Tax Watch says its recommendations could actually save the state $6 billion.
And we fear that the worst news regarding revenue shortfall is still yet to come. So this means a serious action must be taken to control spending and increase revenues moving forward.
The latest numbers are showing Florida is nearly $680 million behind what was projected for this time of year because of the pandemic, and those numbers are expected to continue to slide. The governor has until the end of the month to approve the state budget. A lot of our viewers know this all too well. No job, no health insurance, and that could be deadly. But we've got some suggestions for solutions in the Rebound Southwest Florida. Next.
Save your money.
Live from the station that's in your corner, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Welcome back. We're coming to you live from Yucatan Waterfront Bar and Grill in Lee County. One of the businesses we're going to rebound in Southwest Florida. More on that story in just a bit. But we do appreciate you sticking with us for local coverage at 10:30. I'm Patrick Nolan, and Jane Monreal will rejoin us from the studio in just a minute. We want to update you on a developing story in Atlanta. Those 2 white police officers involved in the deadly shooting of a black man have now turned themselves in that case. The man who was shot and killed was Rayshard Brooks. Officer Devin Brosnan turned himself in just before noon at the Fulton County Jail. He was on the scene when Officer Garrett Rolfe shot and killed Mr. Brooks in a Wendy's parking lot last Friday. According to the Fulton County District Attorney, Brosnan stood on Brooks' shoulders after he was shot, and those 2 officers waited more than 2 minutes before they even rendered him medical aid. Brosnan has been charged with aggravated assault and 3 counts of violating his oath of office. Brosnan did bond out after the district attorney asked his bond to be set at $50,000. The Atlanta Police Department still has him on the force, but they've placed him on administrative duty. Garrett Rolfe, who actually pulled the trigger, turned himself in just a few hours later. He's facing 11 charges, the most serious being felony murder for fatally shooting Mr. Brooks. Rolfe is being held without bond, and he has been fired from the Atlanta Police Department. A new report is showing hackers use Google Chrome extensions to spy on users. Awake Security says the add-ons were downloaded more than 32 million times, and normally the extensions enable browsers to handle advanced features, but these actually allowed spies to take screenshots and steal people's passwords. Google says it's removed that malicious extension, all of them, and it regularly is scanning for malware, it says. Making headlines across Florida tonight. We're focusing in Northeast Florida in the Jacksonville area. 2 men were found shot to death at the base of a cell phone tower early this morning in Jacksonville. Detectives say both of the victims were found around 6 o'clock this morning in a building that was right at the base of the tower. They're believed to be 30 years old and 40 years old, and they were AT&T subcontractors. Each one of them was shot multiple times. Jacksonville police say they got to that building around this time last night, around 10 o'clock, to install some batteries. Another person who was at the scene is cooperating with the investigation, and the sheriff's deputies say they don't really have any suspect information right now. We've been reporting that cities like Tampa and down in the Keys, now they're going to be mandating masks in public. Now a gun shop in West Palm Beach is forbidding masks. The owner says he feels like it's safer because if people come in with masks, it could be a potential crime. They might hold them up. And he says there have always been a few unpleasant moments in this business, but more so since people started wearing masks. We want to update you on that bridge in the Stuart area. This is just north of West Palm Beach. The Roosevelt Bridge connects Stuart on the mainland to Jensen Beach, a little barrier island there off the coast. And yesterday, big chunks of concrete started falling off. The rebar was exposed. It wasn't looking good, so both lanes in both directions have been closed down. Our reporter, Dave Bowman, has the latest on this story tonight.
Salt water and steel and concrete don't mix well.
Gary Nash says the new Roosevelt Bridge in Stuart is vulnerable. It's built over a saltwater inlet. It's close to the coast. And at a cost of nearly $84 million, the bridge was completed in 1997.
We have to inspect these bridges more and more now the older they get.
Contact 5 searched state bridge inspection records and found the new Roosevelt Bridge had high marks for structure and safety. But the last inspection, June 2018. Gary Nash is a former roadway engineer at the Florida Department of Transportation. He says the now pronounced cracks on the span likely weren't there 2 years ago.
You can't take that apart and go looking at every little piece. And if you've got a joint or a seam where the salt got into it, that causes that cable to corrode, and then it could have weakened or broken. And you can't see that.
A major transportation lobby finds Florida ahead of most states when it comes to bridge safety. In 2018, the American Road and Transportation Builders Association ranked Florida 4th when it comes to fewest structurally deficient bridges per capita. This year, the state fell to number 6.
When I woke up this morning, it was to an alert.
On the floor of the U.S. House, area Congressman Brian Mast said the bridge's deterioration is the latest example of the need for a multi-billion-dollar investment into fixing our nation's crumbling infrastructure.
This is on U.S. Highway 1 on the east coast of the United States of America. That fails, people can't get their goods from A to B. People can't get from A to B, and people might die.
This kind of got us thinking we should check our bridges in Southwest Florida. So one of our investigative reporters, Rob Manch, looked into it. We've got at least 5 bridges in Southwest Florida that are in need of repair right now. And one of them is in Cape Coral. It's on El Dorado Parkway. Now that sees more than 1,000 cars go across it a day, maybe, some fewer during the pandemic. But according to the Federal Highway Administration, it is in poor condition, which means it either needs to be repaired or replaced altogether. FDOT normally checks on these bridges every 2 years. That's the policy. But for these roads, they're bumping that up.
Once a bridge reaches that level where Federal Highway would consider it a poor condition, we would increase that to every year.
Now, for a full list of which bridges are rated poor in Southwest Florida, just click on reporter Rob Manch's story on fox4now.com. Jane?
All right, Patrick, quick heads up for you. We've learned that the Chiquita Lock in Cape Coral is closed due to a mechanical failure. The gate is just stuck and partially open, so boats are unable to pass through the lock at the moment. Fox 4 will update you when those repairs are complete. And as we mentioned earlier tonight, the Supreme Court announced it is blocking President Trump's attempt to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA. At least for now, children who were brought to the U.S. illegally are safe from deportation. Now, regardless of the ruling, immigration activists say they will push for legislation that will give them a more permanent status in this country. For many like Gabriela Cruz, the goal is citizenship.
I realize now that my future is not dependent on DACA, a piece of paper, whether the government decides to, recognize me as an American or a citizen or not. My future depends on me. And so I will continue to push forward.
And this isn't the end of the DACA issue. However, the Trump administration could move again to try to rescind the program. Millions have lost their jobs because of COVID-19, and now as a result, their health insurance. Some experts say the consequence of that could be deadly. Chris Conte looks at some of the possible solutions to help those who are struggling.
As the most visited national park in the country, tourism is the backbone of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But COVID-19 has thrust that industry into darkness.
March 23rd was my last day.
Brandon McCarter was once a catering manager in Gatlinburg. With conventions canceled and his job gone, this 64-year-old also lost his health insurance.
There's uncertainty in that, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing a year from now or even 6 months from now.
Not having health care means any trip to the doctor comes out of Brandon's pocket. Even everyday activities like hiking with his wife come with a new level of concern.
I was taking a risk by, that's all I need to do is turn my ankle and break my ankle. And all of a sudden I got a $5,000 hospital bill.
Brandon is not alone. Roughly half of the country's population relies on their job for health care. But nearly 27 million people have now lost employer-sponsored health insurance because they're out of work.
We have massive numbers of people who are worried about their health but don't have health insurance.
Michelle Johnson is a health policy advocate. She says the consequences of Americans losing their health coverage could prove deadly, as more people avoid going to the hospital when they're sick for fear of ending up with bills they can't pay.
When there's a pandemic, it's also important for all of us. We don't want folks to not access the care they need to get healthy and stop the spread of the virus.
So what might help those without a safety net right now? Johnson is lobbying for Congress to expand open enrollment under the Affordable Care Act. She also says states need to strongly consider expanding Medicaid coverage. That would mean Americans stuck in the health care gap right now could get coverage. For those afraid to see a doctor, her advice is to call ahead before you visit and see if you can work out a payment option before a bill arrives.
We know that if people don't have health insurance, they're afraid to go get health care.
As for Brandon McCarter, he's actively looking for a new job.
First purchases would be health insurance. If I got a job offer, my first question would be, does that include health insurance?
Even in a place as beautiful as this, it's nearly impossible to escape the pressures of this pandemic. I'm Chris Conti reporting.
AMC plans to reopen 600 movie theaters next month. The chain says it'll move in stages and be fully operational by July 24th. And it's implementing a new program to curb the spread of COVID-19. AMC says it'll reduce capacity seating, implement new cleaning procedures, and even limit concessions. The rival chain Cinemark announced a phased reopening as well, with plans to have the whole chain open by July 17th.
You know what's better than a movie? Real life. This is real life in Southwest Florida, sitting on the deck here at Yucatan Waterfront Bar and Grill in Matlacha. We're showing you how this business is finding a way to rebound despite all the challenges. Next on Fox 4 News at 10. Welcome back. We are continuing to show you how businesses are finding a way to rebound in Southwest Florida, and we are live at Yucatan Waterfront Bar and Grill here in beautiful Matlacha in Lee County. If you're not sure where it is, if you're driving west on Pine Island Road from Cape Coral and you go through Matlacha, which is of course a charming former fishing village. I say former, they still do some fishing, but when the nets laws changed in Florida years ago, a lot of the shrimpers and the netters had to move out. Some artists moved in, it became kind of funky. And all along the way, this place has been here for about 40 years. So if you keep going on Pine Island Road, right before you get to Little Pine Island, which is this beautiful preserve that nothing's built on, right before you get to that is this restaurant, bar, and grill. It used to be the Sandy Hook Crab Shack back in the day, or the Crab House. Then it became Sandy Hook Fish and Rib House, and now it is Yucatan Waterfront Bar and Grill. The owner of the Yucatan Beach Stand, which is very popular on Fort Myers Beach, bought it a couple of years ago, and they expanded this beautiful outdoor dining area, which is why we came here tonight. It's a nice place to do a newscast after they close. Such a beautiful backdrop. And we've got some pictures to show what they have to offer here at this restaurant. Of course, they've got a lot of beautiful, nice seafood and stuff that's made them popular over the years. They kept some of the dishes that were popular with the Sandy Hook restaurant name that was here before. A local family owned that as well, and they passed it on. A lot of the servers and the workers who were here were kept on as well. So this is a place that knows how to transition. Even before the pandemic hit, they were really good about making sure that they were supporting the community and supporting the people who work and live in this community. And even tonight, as we've been doing this newscast, some of the guys are here doing some renovations and working with their saws and power tools tools, the kinds of things that I wouldn't know how to use even after watching several YouTube videos. And they've been so nice asking, are you live? We'll stop with the drill right now. You can check them out when you go to fox4now.com/rebound and support all of the local businesses that are finding a way to come back. Let's check with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley now with more on the weather. That feels so nice out here. I got my mosquito spray on. I'm good to go now, Derek.
Good. That's good to hear. I know they're pretty bad out there, but I'll tell you what, though, things are looking quiet in the tropics right now, and that's definitely a good thing, and that's not totally unusual for this time of year. We really don't start to see things ramp up for us until late July, August, and September, and into October, but things looking quiet at the present time. Part of the reason for that is the Saharan air layer, the SAL that we like to call it, big plume of dust and dry air now emanating off the coast of Africa here, heading across the Atlantic, and believe it or not, this dust plume is going to make it all the way across the Atlantic and affect the southern U.S. This is also not totally unusual. This happens a few times during the summer, but you can see it there by Sunday moving through the Lesser Antilles, and then by the time we head towards the middle part of the week, it's going to encompass much of the southern U.S., so we're expecting perhaps rain chances to go down by the middle to end part of next week, and we're also going to see some pretty spectacular sunsets. Whenever we get that Saharan air layer and that Saharan dust in the area, it makes the sunsets absolutely fantastic, so be looking for that by the middle part of next week. Here's Storm Shield for Doppler, and we're still tracking some showers out there now, not as many as what we were looking at earlier, but still some rain north of Arcadia, but even that rain appears to be falling apart, and this area of showers that we were watching just north of Port Charlotte up towards Northport and southern parts of Sarasota County also starting to wind down. 70s area-wide, as Patrick mentioned, it's a muggy night across the area. Temperatures into the mid-70s. Looks like we'll top out in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow. Some spots actually could touch 90. It really depends on how much sunshine you see throughout the day. So tomorrow looks very similar to what we saw today. Likely most of the rain near the coast in the morning, and then the concentration of showers and storms will shift inland towards Lake Okeechobee during the afternoon and evening hours as a result of the southwesterly steering winds. Notice that all the clouds are ripping along from the lower left to the upper right. That's a mid-level wind flow out of the southwest that is steering those storms in that general direction. So we're probably going to be seeing the same thing again tomorrow. Predictors showing mostly cloudy skies and a couple of showers in the morning. Showers and storms will gradually increase as we go into the afternoon hours tomorrow. So a pretty decent chance for rain throughout the day, but some sunshine in between. And then as we go into Saturday and Sunday for Father's Day, we're going to see storm chances get back to what we typically see with mainly afternoon and evening chances, mainly for inland areas. Father's Day again looking good. Partly cloudy skies. We'll have a chance for afternoon storms, but it should be plenty of time outside. That'll be dry for you to get into your holiday celebrations for Father's Day, or maybe any errands you may need to run around town. 70s overnight tonight. Highs tomorrow, mid to upper 80s to around 90, depending on, again, how much sunshine you see throughout the day. Forecast tonight, mostly cloudy, 73. Still some lingering showers out there, but those should wind down shortly. And then clouds and sunshine tomorrow, likely more clouds and sun. Showers and storms in the forecast throughout the morning and afternoon. 86 your high temperature. We easily could be a little bit warmer than that tomorrow. Again, depends on that sunshine. 89 on Saturday. Storm chances mainly during the afternoon and evening. Same thing for Father's Day. And then again, afternoon and evening showers and storms with hotter temperatures as we head into next week.
Some breaking news just into the newsroom right now. Senator Amy Klobuchar has removed herself from consideration to be Joe Biden's running mate, citing the recent national unrest surrounding racial injustice and police brutality to suggest the former vice president should choose a woman of color. We'll have more on this as it develops on Fox 4 News. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, and now more than ever, African Americans are using that day to mark the history of emancipation and remind us what progress is yet to come. More on that coming up on Fox 4 News at 11.